Hi, my name is Eric Pugmire, and this presentation will cover the operation of the Meridian Bicycle Company, which I started as part of my $100 challenge. I chose this company because I have some foreknowledge in repairing and working on bicycles. The concept of this business was that I wanted to take the typical experience at a bicycle shop where you take a bicycle in, drop it off, leave it for a couple of days, and then come back and pick it up. I wanted to take that concept and see if I could shrink it to a 20-minute wait time, charge customers a nominal fee to do basic tune-ups and repairs, and exclude large repairs and things that are more involved, like taking apart bearing components and bleeding hydraulic brakes, things like that. So we wanted to have initially a price point of sub $10. We ended up actually settling on $5 based on the 20-minute wait time, as we thought that might provide the most value to our customers. Further, this concept depends on the notion that it will be a neighborhood operation spread by word of mouth or social media to keep costs low. In the pre-planning phases, most of the work would be performed in my garage. I already have most of the tools set away, so initial startup costs would be low in terms of materials. And really, the majority of the work that needed to be done was to build a usable bike stand out of spare lumber that I had laying around that would allow me to hoist the bikes up and work on them. All of this done with an eye to keep costs low in the early going. As mentioned before, the initial contact was word of mouth with friends and neighbors that we knew, and as neighbors came through, they ended up posting on Facebook at what they had experienced. And so we were able to do some really low-cost marketing that way. The plan required us to give the bikes a quick wash, oil the chains and lubricate moving parts, air up the tires, adjust brake and shifter cables as needed, and then deliver back to the customers. And delivery was actually accomplished by recruiting my son and a couple of his neighborhood friends in the early going to deliver the bikes to ride them back to where they came from. You know, in business expansion and as we go forward, this would probably entail the use of a trailer or some other type of delivery method where we would pick up and deliver bikes to the customers. Our average time on hand as we performed these services was 18 minutes. So our 20-minute goal, we really came close to. Of the 40 bikes that we had, and we'll go through the numbers here in just a second, 2 of those were brought back to owners that were unhappy, and unhappy is a loose term. They weren't unhappy necessarily. They just didn't like the way that we had made adjustments or settings. So we adjusted it back to their specifications, kind of customized a little bit how they wanted brake levers and shift levers to fill and things like that. Total time on those resets was 20 minutes, and of course that's not a revenue generating operation. So here's how we ended up. We did a total of 40 bicycles out of the neighborhood. We charged a total of $5 each for a grand total of $200 in total revenue. After material costs, there were a couple of things we had to buy, like patch kits, a couple of tubes, and some of the green slime that you use to patch bicycle tubes. We spent $18.75 on total materials for this project, so our net income after costs was $181.25. The total hours invested in the project overall over a period of about 6 to 8 weeks was 26 total hours. This was done in my spare time. I did recruit a couple of low-cost laborers, like my son. Their compensation was in the form of ice cream sandwiches or something that were small. However, in the larger application, we really could, as we expanded the operation, charge a little more than $5, probably closer to the $10 range for this particular service, and really turn a larger profit. You know, expectant costs would also go up as volumes increase, but we still would have a fairly healthy profit margin before payroll and other overhead costs. So this is just the hard costs taken out. We didn't have much overhead due to the fact that we weren't renting any space and we weren't doing anything that way. So the conclusion was that this was a profitable business. If we were going to expand this business, as if you were an investor, we're looking into this, naturally we would expand to parts. We would expand to some other higher margin activities like accessories for bikes, water bottles, that type of thing. We would need a permanent location, much larger volumes. And then the location, we'd carefully scout areas where we see a lot of bicycles, greenbelt paths, bike centers, areas where there are a lot of foot traffic where we could get people to come in. Overall, this was a very rewarding project. I was happy to be a part of it. It was more successful than I thought. We were worried about even getting to $100 for the challenge. We doubled that. And at the same time provided a service and brought, in some cases when we had multiple customers in together, it was more of a community event where they could be together, talk about their experience, and have a good time. Thanks for listening to my presentation, and we'll see you on the next go-around.